Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, today we're going to talk about the Percussion Revolver series. I've been asked to go more in depth about the sights that I've been using on my guns. Now this sight was developed by me over many years by gleaning information from many sources. I was a big devotee of Elmer Keith, Skeeter Skelton, quite a few other people who wrote about the single action armies, the cap and ball revolvers, the Rugers were fixed sights, things like that back in the 70s, 80s, early 90s. And it was from that and things that they were utilizing with the fixed sighted single action army type guns and Rugers that inspired me to experiment with this with my cap and ball revolvers. Now first let's talk about the sight picture that you get with a standard percussion revolver whenever you buy the thing. Everybody knows they shoot way too high, and there's a reason for that and a logic behind it. Whenever you had, say here's the ground, what they were going for as a military arm, was this. You were going to be here. How far away could you keep what was called a point blank, which means I could aim directly at and still have the opportunity to hit the target? So from say 5 yards out to 100 yards, the gun was sighted intentionally high so that when you aimed, and you got to remember the aiming point that they were taught in those days was the belt buckle. Now they did not wear waist belts in their pants like we do today. It was actually about here was that belt that they wore as a utility belt. Sounded like kind of like a military web belt. Went right here, and I had a great big shiny belt buckle right here, which is about one hand above the belly button. Well, if it shot 12 inches high, right here. And as that got further away and your aim point came up, you came to here. There, thus you had a longer zero. So from this, when they fired, the sight picture caused this arc that was within the top and the bottom all the way out there. It's in that range, the trajectory and etc. So that's why they created that, because we're not shooting at one guy, we're shooting at 50 guys all standing shoulder to shoulder, mass troops. So it was a could you take this and hit a pickup truck sideways, sitting sideways out to 75 yards? Well, yeah, well, that's what they were doing, because all those mass troops were like a pickup truck, about as high as a pickup truck, about as wide as a pickup truck. That's what they were aiming for, okay? And that was well and good in the day as a military gun. But for me, I wanted more accuracy than that, because I was trying to use it as a field revolver. And the biggest problem that I had was shooting snakes with it, because I would come around the corner and suddenly I got a big rattler that I can't avoid and I have to defend myself with, or a big moccasin or something like that. And I brought this to be a field gun, and it's got to perform. And yes, I did develop putting shot into it, and we'll talk about that in another video. But I wanted to be able to aim at my target and hit it out to, say, 10 yards, something like that. So from me out, I wanted real accuracy out to 10 yards, okay, where I could aim directly and shoot at whatever. With this, I could hunt bunny rabbits, I could hunt small game, etc. From 10 yards out to 25 yards, I wanted to be able to hit a target that was, say, the size of a dog, because of using it for rabbit animals, etc. I have no need for pinpoint accuracy up way out there. I'm just trying to hit a bigger target. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it alone. And then finally, from 25 all the way out to 50 yards, I wanted to be able to keep it easily onto a man target. Okay? So this cone right here was where I was going. And I wanted a fixed-sighted gun to be able to give me those increments. Well, that's a lot of Kentucky windage, but I could have reference points, and that's what we're about to get to. Now, on my 1861 Pieta, there are 2 notches going across right there on that rear side. I hope you can see that. If not, I'll try to get you a really good picture and insert right here. What those notches are for was in reading an article by Elmer Keith back in the 70s. He talked about putting a gold bar across the front sight of a single action army, 2 bars to act as range. So how much of the front sight he went up or down with. If it was just the tip of the front sight that he could see in the notch, that was so far range. If he saw the middle bar, it was so far, and if finally he saw the base sticking up, that was so far. He's trying to get further and further range out of the gun. So, realizing that when you look at the Percussion revolver, the rear sight being in the hammer and the front sight being on the barrel, it's really a poor system, but it's what we got to work with. If I deepen the notch in the back of the hammer down, that in effect brought the back of the gun down. Instead of thinking of the gun pivoting here, think of the gun pivoting here. See? And so like it's at this angle, I'm exaggerating, when you're sighting in with the factory notch. But if I deepen it, I'm in essence picking up the back of the gun, bringing it more in line with the bore, so that if the bottom of this notch is even with the back of the barrel, and I'm looking straight down the flat of that barrel, I in essence now, in camming it a little bit, I'm aiming low with the notch. Okay? So, let me show you what that kind of looks like in big form. Alright, we have the standard notch that comes in the gun. What I've done is I've taken a fine-tooth hacksaw and gone into that notch, and I've deepened that notch. Like that. Okay? So it's a nice long thing. What I should see when I look through that notch is right here at the bottom going across should be the back of the barrel. Okay? Whenever I'm sighting in for point blank 10-yard range, I should look in, and right there in the bottom of that notch, there's my front sight. Okay? Across that front sight level is where I make my first bar. And I make this bar how marking it, I get up there with a small triangular file and I go across, and it's just a good scratch all the way across. So when I come up, I see that scratch, and that is point blank. That is aiming at 10 yards or less, and that is directly straight down the bore. And so therefore I am my most accuracy at point blank. I can aim directly at the target like a snake's head and be on target. Okay? Now, this goes out to about 10 yards. 10 yards, 25 yards, there's another notch going across right there. And that second notch is for the 10 to 25 dog size, slightly larger, okay? If I come all the way back up here, now notice, I'll accentuate it a little bit, the original taper of the V is still there on the gun. Across that bottom right there, the original sight is my 25 out to 50 yards, see? So I have 3 sight notches on that rear sight, depending on what I'm doing. Go all the way to the very bottom of the notch, where I just see the tip. And here's the other thing you want to understand. When you're looking at the front sight, here's the curvature of the barrel. Here is my front sight. Picture coming back toward me. How much of this front sight I see in that notch makes a difference. I need to consistently look at the same amount of front sight, okay? So like, if I'm looking through the notch and that thing fully standing up, I don't want to see the base in that notch. I want to see this top third, okay? So when I look down the sight, I should see just that, okay? When I move it up to that bar, I should take that and move it up to there, take that, move it up there. I always look at the same amount, just that much. As in essence, I've turned my front sight into thirds, okay? So only the top third should be what I'm using. Don't use the whole sight, okay, because you will flex that. So I say the top third, okay? And therefore, I can see how much sight picture that I have. Now, how all this works together is this. For my 0 to 10 yards, I'm going to look through the notch. I'm going to see the top third of my front sight, and it is going to be all the way in the bottom of that notch. So just a third standing up in that notch. That's my 0 to 10 yard. If I want to go from 10 yards out to 25, I raise that same piece of sight up to that first bar. Okay? So now I want the top of that front sight even with this bar, the top of it. Okay? That's 10 to 25 yards. If I'm going from 25 yards on out, I want the third even with the top of the sight. So the top of my front sight should be even with the top of my sight. That is 25 to 50 yards. Okay? Even then you may have to encounter a little bit of Kentucky windage, but that comes with practice. Lots and lots of practice. The guns can be very accurate as any other fixed sight, modern gun, or whatever, with training and practice. Load consistency is one of the biggest, hugest factors in getting tight shot groups, so that there's very little variation from shot to shot. You are in essence creating ammunition with every loading lever pull. What you're doing is you have to have the same powder charge, same projectile, same pressure, same depth. So you get consistently the same shot to shot. Then you have sights that I can consistently come back to the same sight picture over and over again. Those two combined is how I'm able to sit there and run them plates and stuff like that with my old eyes. It's time, experience, and a gun that's going to shoot consistently from shot to shot. That's the big secret, and that's the hard part. It's far easier just to dump some powder in and boom, and have a hula hoop sized group. It really is. But it's the same thing that you apply into modern reloading. If you just throw a X charge into a thing and it says anywhere between here and here, and I'm just going to put it in You're not going to have consistent accuracy in a modern gun either. You know, you have to be consistent. And so the sights have to consistently give us the same sight picture that we're looking for. So we've got a reference point. This is strictly the reference point of where the shot should go. There will still be variation within that. So it's not going to be a one hole. But let us say, for the sake of argument, that out to 10 yards with this sight picture, any one of my chambers should throw all of their shots to within a 2-inch circle, like that. Well, as long as I center up the head of that snake in that 2-inch circle, I have a better than average chance of hitting my target. See, I'm putting rain on the target, so to speak. When I'm shooting at a target range, I'm shooting at a steel plate or whatever, same thing. See, I'm trying to put that target circle directly onto my target, kind of like skeet shooting or something like that. I know this can get a little bit complicated, and it really can be. But the whole point of it is that the guns themselves, if you have done your work with loading the chambers, done your work with lubing the barrel and getting consistent shot-to-shot accuracy, done your work with creating a rear sight notch that you can see. Okay, now that's a thing I need to touch on right quick. When you're 20 years old and you got really, really good sights, looking through that narrow little notch made by that hacksaw blade is relatively easy. When you're 40 and 50 and 60, it is not so easy to see through that little hacksaw notch. And all of this sighting in needs to be originally done on a shooting bench. Don't be doing this freehand. Get you a sandbag or something like that I can get up here and seat down the gun into a good position, putting my target out there where I can see it clearly, and slowly squeeze every shot. So you eliminate your factors of it. So you want to be off a bench. Once I get the notch depth correct, and let's talk about that for just a split second. I'm sorry I'm sounding like I'm rambling, guys, but I'm trying to take this much information and put it into a 10-minute video. We have our rear sight, and we're going to start deepening that notch a little. What I suggest you do when you get up there is the first thing you do is you take that hacksaw and you go down through there and you square that notch. Notice it's a V to begin with. We're going to eliminate that right off the bat. And that hacksaw blade coming straight down, keep it straight up and down. We're just wanting to square it up, make a square bottom notch. Okay? Now shoot, and you want to get it on a bench, and you're going to put the same exact sight picture. Right here is my target. I'm aiming directly for that target. Squeeze it off, and I hit up here. Okay? I do 2 shots. I hit up here. I'm only going to load 2 chambers. I am now going to take my hacksaw and I'm going to deepen that notch just a small amount. Load 2 chambers, come back up, get on the sandbags, aim exactly at my original aiming point, and shoot. Now, I hit here. I deepen my notch a little bit. I fire, and now I'm hitting my target or extremely close to it. Okay. Now I've got the depth of that notch. Why am I using such a fine-tooth hacksaw blade? Because I want it to be a clean cut straight down. Once I get the depth right there that I need, now I can widen the notch slightly. A Dremel tool with one of those single cutting discs, you can stack more than one cutting disc on there. For my old eyes, I put 2 of those Dremel tool cutting discs side by side. And once I've got the notch created, I simply go up there with the Dremel tool and go straight down into it. And simply, at that point, I widen this notch. So now my notch is like that. And I can see clearly through that notch. I want just a little bit when I see my front sight. Remember that third I talked about? My front sight standing up. That should be my sight picture. I want to see that third in there, and I want just a little bit of daylight on either side of that sight so I can center it up. So now it becomes like a partridge sight on a modern firearm, like a 1911 with original sights or whatever. I want it centered up between the 2 sides, and I want those sides straight up and down even. So I use a Dremel tool, or I have done it with a small flat needle file before. Just very consistently. Don't make it wavy, make it straight up and down. Then I put my crossbars on, and then that is Blackie's sight picture right there. I have my range notches up. I have a consistent shot thing, and I have a consistent sight. Now, the front sight, I'll touch on that really quick. On the front sight, on these Colt type guns, is a rounded blade. As you can see, I've kind of flattened that one off just a little bit, and I've undercut the back just a little bit. That is because when you look at the front sight, and it's something shaped kind of like that, it's very elegant. However, this rounded angle up here does not give a good sight picture. Light hitting that curved edge reflects. Now what Colt and them were going for, remember this was a combat gun, it was a combat sight. And so when you came up, any kind of light above you would cause that brass front sight to kind of shine just a little bit. Well, it was a dot out there. Well, he's trying to just kind of point at that belt buckle, you know, and then on horseback at a run, they just pointed that shiny dot at a target. Well, you're not a single guy out in the open, you're a group mass, like I said. So it was sort of like we think of an aim point today, where you look to the tube and there's a dot, you put the dot on it and you yank the trigger. Yeah, it's a buckshot pattern going that way. It wasn't meant to be truly accurate, it was meant to be very fast. And that was the whole idea, was be very fast sight. Push, fire. Problem with that is, wherever the light source is changing which part of that sight looks shiny, and it causes your groups to drift left and right by the sunlight. Today you come out and you're sitting here and you're shooting at the target and it's hitting a little bit left. Well, that's because the light's coming down on this side and you're kind of centering up that shiny in that notch. Tomorrow when you're angling this way, now the light's coming down this side, now you're hitting a little bit right. It causes you to drift left or right. I want to eliminate that. And so in the 1930s they had Smith & Wesson and stuff, still had those rounded sights. And you go look at Ed McGivern and these guys, and they were talking about a flat top partridge sight was far superior to it. So all I'm going to do is just take my file and just flatten off that top edge. I don't want to take hardly any height off. I just want to flatten it just a little bit. So that gives me a consistent top edge. Now I don't want that reflective glare off that back edge. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a triangular file, I'm going to get there from the back of it, and I'm just going to file the back edge slightly, ever so slightly. I'm going to exaggerate it here, guys. Like that. So it's kind of undercut. Now I have a dark front sight, no matter what. No matter how bright the sunlight is, when I come up, I don't have any glare off that front sight. It's a dark front sight. So in conclusion, that's Blackie's sighting system. It is a rear sight that has been notched down until I'm at the proper depth. It has been widened so that I can see light on either side of my front sight. It has crossbars on it so that I may raise the sight up to create the proper ranging. It has a front sight that has been flat topped and slightly undercut in the back to give me the best consistent sight picture. Now, modifying a gun like this may not be legal in the Civil War competitions because you're not allowed to modify a gun. So don't be doing this and think you're going to go win them competitions. But if you're interested in taking a cap and ball revolver and trying to find the most consistent accuracy you can get out of it, this is what I have developed over the years. Consistent loading, consistent shot-to-shot accuracy, and a set of sights that allow me to put my shot on target. That's my system. So I hope that this video was helpful, guys, and I hope this, kind of clears it up a little bit for you. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Until next time. And oh, by the way, when I'm doing the 1860 Army, I'm going to be doing this from start to finish for you on camera. So you will get a visual reference coming. This is just an overview so you understand where I'm coming from. Okay? Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.